כבוד הרב, רבי אברהם, בכבוד כבוד הרב, בכבוד חנוכה שמח, דרך אגב.
Today we want to welcome very special guest, Mr. Adam Sosnick. Big round of applause. Nice to meet you. To be honest with you, I'm not familiar with PPD podcast, but from today on we're going to listen to you. And I want to say thank you for all coming from the president of our synagogue, Mr. Robert Aronov. Today is a holiday of Hanukkah. Today we light candles. Mr. Adam, we're going to light candles when you finish speaking. What can we learn from Hanukkah? A lot of lessons, but one of the lessons, there was one rabbi, he had a few students in the room, so he told the students, please shut off all the lights, and when it became dark in the room, the rabbi said to his students, please take your sticks and take brooms and start chasing away the darkness. So the students, they tried with the sticks to chase away the darkness, but they did not succeed. So then Rabbi said, let's light one candle and see if it's going to help. When they lit the candle, it became light and the darkness went away. Rabbi says with sticks and with fights, you're not going to chase away the darkness. But when you teach other people the truth and you enlighten them, this is what's going to help. And today, a lot of fights in the world, and I heard about your podcast that you talk to people not to fight, to be friendly. And this is what comes to represent Hanukkah, that light helps and we could accomplish many things. So I'm going to say thank you very much again, Mr. Adam. Thank you so much for being with us. Chazak Baruch.
Thank you very much, Kod Rav. It's okay, it's fine. Thank you everybody for coming. We're going to give the first couple of words, introduction. Kod Rav, matai ladik Hanukkah? Matai Rosh Hashanah? Okay, we'll do. Okay, towards the end, no problem. We'll do it as a closing, huh? Yeah, we'll do it as a closing. That's what Rabbi says. Okay, we gotta follow. Call it out, you know. Everybody, we want to give introduction words to our good friend, new friend, always friend, Chaim Aronov. Please give us an intro. This is put together by him. May God bless you, and I appreciate your work. B'chavod.
Now, Rav is a humble Rav. Thank you, Rav. Birshut Rabbanim and all the Ravs in attendance. I'd like to wish everybody a very happy Hanukkah and to welcome everybody to our community. A very warm welcome to all of our panelists here today. It's truly a remarkable privilege to stand before you here in the synagogue that's named after my grandfather, Eliyahu, who was actually an entrepreneur and a trailblazer in his own right. As I'm looking into this audience, I see a very powerful and glaring irony before me. Here we are, seated in a synagogue on the first night of Hanukkah in the United States of America to discuss themes of entrepreneurship, business, the state of Israel, and the state of our community at large. This is particularly striking when we consider the story of the Bukharian people, the story of the Bukharian community. Many of whose members came here from a godless atheist and communist country, the Soviet Union. A place where religion and free enterprise were not only scorned, they were actively stifled. They were suppressed. And we sit here today, remarkably, in a place where we can freely practice principles of free enterprise, principles of capitalism, as builders, not as scavengers, as Ben Shapiro so properly elucidated to us. There are builders and there are scavengers. There are lions and there are hyenas who come and clean up the scraps. That's what socialism is at its heart. They're leeching off the people that have the talent, the innovators, the lions. Adam, Rafi, and Rabbi Beni, very importantly, you're all exemplars, paradigms of this principle. This juxtaposition from a place where tyranny predominated over freedom, from a place where religion and free enterprise are stifled, to a place where now it's actively promoted and flourishing. thanks to the greatest empire and country in the face of human civilization, the United States of America. This juxtaposition, and by the way, if there was a Palestinian standing here right now, he wouldn't give the credit to the United States of America. They would not make such a speech. They would not make such an introduction. It would be one focused on grievances, on victimhood. This is the embodiment of DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. A cancerous ideology onto our society. One that scorns meritocracy. And after this year, after going through what we went through as a nation, the nation of Israel, God's people, the beacon onto the nations, Hanukkah takes on an even greater significance than it ever did before. In the face of the devastating events of October 7th, we're reminded anew of the strength and resilience of Israel. Just as the Maccabees arose and defeated tyranny, defeated godlessness, defeated unfettered secularism, unfettered to any sort of notion of eternality, any notion of God, so too did our nation this year destroy 7 proxies of the evil Iranian axis. One by one we saw them crumble. And today Israel stands in the Middle East, as Adam so thoughtfully said. It's a paradigm of excellence, undaunted, unbroken, and utterly victorious over our foes. This Hanukkah, as we light the menorah tonight, we do so with a renewed understanding of what it means to persevere and to dominate over those who seek to extinguish our light. It's in this spirit that we gather today to explore themes of entrepreneurship, of business, and of community. We're going to sit with our panelist, Adam, tonight, the dynamic co-host of the PBD podcast and the Soscast, a voice of clarity, of reason, in a world of great confusion. And I'm not going to name any characters here tonight, but they're out there, and I'd advise those people to truly think critically and analytically about their current positions, because if we did so the way that Adam does, it would come to the fore that they're all unsubstantiated and empty. And then we have Rafi Pinsky sitting with us today. Former IDF veteran, let's give a round of applause and thank him for his service to our country, the great state of Israel. A commercial luxury realtor, residential realtor, who went from defending our homeland to being a resilient entrepreneur in the United States of America. And we have with us today as well the wise and esteemed Rabbi Beni. Let's give him all a round of applause. A leader whose wisdom and insight and great entrepreneurial spirit make him a great asset to the Bukharian community and will make him an even better moderator for tonight's discussion. Thank you so much, everyone, and let's welcome Rabbi Rachmanov.
Wow. I think he's definitely a better eloquent speaker than I am. May God bless you, Brother Jonam. Very good. Very impressed. I can tell you, Robert, Zachita, Achi, Zachita. It means Li Ayin Hara. I'm just going to give an opening. We're in Hanukkah, and Rabbi Chen, last night's dinner, said something very powerful, and it's a principal concept. The Greeks wished to destroy our spiritual identity. Therefore, what do we have to do? We had to fight physically against them. Mordechai and Esther, in the time of Mordechai and Esther, Achashverosh and Haman tried to destroy our physical identity. What do we have to do? We had to pray to God. In October 7th, people don't understand this, what happened. In October 7th, they came and they tried to fight and attack not only our physical identity, but also our spiritual identity. And therefore, what do we have to do? We have to fight both physically and both spiritually. You never had in history, for 2,000 years, since the Maccabees, and since Bar Kokhba, a united army in the state of Israel, or in Israel territory ever. And what happens? The Jews of Israel, what do? They combat, they fight, and they show a spiritual renaissance in the IDF that you never have seen ever before in the IDF. But I want to tell you another factor that we have to understand as Jews. The Romans helped the Greeks, meaning the Romans helped the Maccabees fight the war against the Greeks. When it came to Bar Kokhba, the rabbi said to Rabbi Akiva and Bar Kokhba, don't fight this war. Don't create a revolution. Let it be. Because if you let it be, the Romans will die out. They will lose their empire. They were on the brink of loss of an empire. And we would have stayed with Judaism and Judea and the Second Temple. Sometimes inaction is the best action. There's a halachic term that we use throughout all Torah. Shav va'al ta'aseh atif. Sometimes by being inactive is the best action you can ever take. But that's not the case with Adam. His action on social media was the best action that he took for our communities and all communities abroad. And there is no doubt that that was the biggest success, I believe, to make a catalyst of a mass social media renaissance to attack the spiritual, the identity, the verbal identity that was being attacked in social media against us. And I commend you for that, Adam, as well. And then my new good friend, Rafi here, unbelievable person with the podcast that was introduced by Adam. You should know it's a whole story how we got connected with Adam and became friends with Adam. But I'm like, Adam, when are we going to do this podcast? When are we doing it? Come on, let's do it. He said, no, we're not going to do it. The beginning was a little bit edgy. A week before, Beni, we're going to do a podcast October 7th, October 8th. I'm like, okay, can you come? I'm like, I'm coming. Of course. Adam says, of course you're going to go with Adam's podcast. Why not? It was a hurricane. I said this before, but no one else, others didn't hear this. It was a hurricane. I didn't know what to do. This girl in the airport psychs me out. Oh, you're going to go there? You're not coming back? 2 days before Yom Kippur? Rabbi not attending the Yom Kippur services. What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, and then I call my partner, Michael. Michael's like, go already. Who cares already? Don't worry. They'll survive by themselves on Yom Kippur. We go to Yom Kippur. We go to the podcast. Rafi's there. The whole panel's there. Everybody made the effort to come. Give everybody, even the other group, this group, whatever it is, we all made the effort to come. And all of a sudden, what happens? We come there. I leave there on time. Get there on time. I leave there on time. Not 1 inch of rain from the hurricane in Fort Lauderdale. May God bless Fort Lauderdale. Right? And then we meet Rafi. We did a podcast. You should watch our podcast I did with Rafi. It's very good, very inspirational in his soothing semantics, right? Soothing semantics. And Rafael is also a very good leader, very good person, fighting the good fight, verbally in his podcast and everything. It doesn't matter. His shorts always popping up. That's for me. That's for me. So I want to give the opening remarks also to Rafi, and then we're going to give a lecture to Adam. Then we'll ask a Q&A, and then everybody can get involved in the Q&A as well.
Making sure it's working? Okay, perfect. Bukharian community, it is a pleasure being here for the first time. Had a beautiful dinner last night at a Wall Street Grill. Really had a great time, met some very important people. There was one rabbi, the Rabbi Chen, I don't know if you guys know him, he has this Georgian rabbi with this beautiful white beard. So I want to just thank Beni for hosting. Really, really a pleasure. It's been such a pleasure meeting you, and we're spending a lot of time in the last couple of months together. So I want to go back a little bit into my childhood, just to give a little bit of context, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes. So differently than your typical Jewish boy, I was born to my mom, who had me with a non-Jewish guy. They weren't married. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, ultimately ended up raising me. So, that's not very typical of most Jewish guys. You have nuclear family, parents, they raise you, you have a nice home, you have a father, mother, etc. In my case, my grandmother had to do it on her own, and it wasn't exactly the easiest thing. But two things I would say that she gave me, she instilled overwhelming confidence in me. She always told me that I could accomplish anything I set my mind to. And she also was a very, very strong Zionist. She loved Israel more than anything. Loved Trump, Bibi Netanyahu. She was the biggest Zionist you can imagine. So naturally, as a young kid, going to the IDF was always a dream. I just didn't know if I was actually going to go. You know, when I was younger, I was like, I don't know if that's actually something I would be willing to actually do. But lo and behold, at some point in my early 20s, I said, if I don't do this, it'll be something I regret for the rest of my life. So, needless to say, I went, served for 1.5 years in the West Bank in an infantry unit, and from that point on, I made it my business that even when I'm out of the army, I would be very outspoken about Israel. And not long after, I moved to Florida, and I realized I always love to have deep conversations with people. I can have small talk, I can mess around, but deep conversation is very, very much my style. And so, naturally, a podcast made sense. So I started the podcast, started having different conversations. The podcast doesn't only cover Israel-Palestine, I cover real estate, business, relationships, and all kinds of interesting things. And then I started to cover Israel more extensively. I started to get into debates. I started to watch all of these videos from all these famous podcasts, and I just got engrossed in it. And I realized that I believe that God is giving me this message of strength that I have to give over. And thank God I've really started to learn all the different angles and avenues and playing devil's advocate. And it's allowed me to meet these two amazing gentlemen. And what I would say is to anyone that's looking to do something that might be different, whether it's a podcast, opening a business, do it. Obviously, hopefully it's something that it isn't the NBA. If you're 5'5", it might not be that attainable. But if it's something a little bit more realistic than that, I not only implore you, but I really feel it's a requirement for you to step out of your comfort zone and give it a try, because there are too many people that eventually die and take their dreams with them, unfortunately. So this is one of the biggest things that I would like to finish my short speech off with. Go after your dreams, go after what you want. And the final thing is the need to be outspoken. I think prior to October 7th, a lot of Jews were very uncomfortable with being outspoken. It might hurt their corporate business. They're afraid they might lose the position at their company. And what's beautiful about what I'm seeing in all of the Jewish communities is that people aren't afraid anymore, especially the Bukharian community. I said the Bukharian community show up when these pro-Palestinians came out to Queens. The Bukharians came out of their houses and they went at them. And I'm very proud of that, because there's some Jewish communities that don't show up like that. So you guys really had no fear at all. So I want to commend you guys for that. Definitely a round of applause is needed. And we're gonna start this show. Thanks again for being here. It's really nice to have you all here. And that is that.
Wow. Your father, you revealed so many secrets today. You just killed our podcast for Monday. I mean, so with all ado, let me just help Adam set up here. We're going to let Adam speak. He has a full lecture set up. Let me move this over for you here. It's right here. Yeah, there we go. You got it? All right, good. Stand here, make your life easier. So just to introduce Adam, you see Adam, PBD, right here, guys. Valuetainment. He said it would be VTJ, by the way. Valuetainment Jewish, but it's okay. Go ahead. Bechavod, Adam. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. By the way, can you hear me without the mic? Can I just do no mic or do the mic? Do you need this for the audio?
Mic is better.
Mic is better?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do the mic thing.
I'm sorry.
You gotta understand, last night, Rabbi Beni gave a whole speech holding the mic like this. 10-minute speech. The mic wasn't on. And I didn't have the heart to tell him, Rabbi Beni, the mic's no, the end of the table can't hear you. So I'll speak loud and clear, I hope. But the Bukharian community. Lovely to meet everybody here. Up until about 6 months ago, I knew approximately 0 Bukharians. And now they're some of my favorite people. So with great joy, Rabbi Beni has become a very close friend. And we've done many podcasts. He's come down to South Florida a few times. I mean, you know, the hurricane. Even on the election night. We're the #1 live podcast in the world. Thank you. You know, it's crazy in the world. We beat Fox, NBC, ABC, CNN, everything. And who got a shout out in the middle of the podcast? Rabbi Beni. So the Bukhari community is making some waves. They're out there. And where's Chaim? What a guy, this guy, I'm telling you right now. You know, we have a saying, the future looks bright. The Bukhari community, I felt, what a guy, this guy, Chaim, I'm telling you right now. Shout out to his dad, Robert. Okay? And lovely to see, what a good-looking crew right here. This is great. The ladies, lovely. Now, why are some of the guys on this side over this side? They're not 18? What's the deal? You just found better seats? Okay. This is my security guard right here, Avi. Okay. I said one mess up in my prayer. He goes, oh, what are you doing? Thank you for that. So, but thank you. In Valuetainment, we have something called unreasonable hospitality. We're actually trained by the Ritz-Carlton on how to be hospitable when you have guests. There was actually a book written called Unreasonable Hospitality by the gentleman that ran the #1 restaurant in the world, 11 Madison. And we've been trained, we've learned. Credit goes to the Bukharian community. No classes needed, no books needed. You guys have it in your blood. So thank you for being so welcoming. And it's been a joy to meet you guys. I've learned a lot about who you guys, tell me about Jacob the jeweler, I guess, is Bukharian, right? And Leviev, right? So, Leviev, yes, my pronunciation, Ashkenazi, white boy. I learned about the plov. Am I saying this right? The food. The samosa. Samosa. Listen, guys, I'm doing my best over here. Mantu? No? Okay, but one thing you didn't have to teach me was a garshuk. I know about it. The garshuk. Is that how you say this? Yeah. Okay. Garshuk. I feel like I'm doing stand-up. I used to do stand-up comedy. Okay. But what I want to talk to you guys is a couple different messages here. And I said, Beni, what am I going to talk about today? What do they need to know? What do the young people need to know? I'm looking at the crowd here. Everyone looks like they got their stuff together here. So, I guess what I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. But so, what I want to discuss is my relationship with Israel, what I've learned being a part of Valuetainment and the PBD podcast, and then more importantly, what we can all do. And Rafi touched on it, is do a little bit more. So, how many people here have not been to Israel? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. The young man right there. You can raise it. It's okay. You're not going to get in trouble. Get out. 12 years old. You? You haven't been yet. Oh my God. We got to get these guys on Birthright. So, has anybody been on Birthright Israel? You've been to Birthright. You've been to Birthright. How many people's first time to Israel was on Birthright? Amazing, right? Did you say you went? Chaim's wife? You went?
Yeah.
At what age?
I was in college.
You were in college?
20.
So not too long ago. Amazing experience?
Very good.
Game changer, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I went when I was 21 years old. I think I was a junior in college. And I fell in love with Israel. Now, I grew up not Orthodox, but also not Reform. What does that be considered, I guess? Conservative-ish? Conservative-ish. I don't speak Hebrew. I could read it a little bit. Never been to Israel. But on Pesach, we'd always say, next year in Yerushalayim, right? So I found myself in Yerushalayim. Oh my God, it's a big deal. And I went to the wall And this was a big deal for me, right? I went to the wall, and you can put a note into the wall, right? You've done this before? Who's done this before? And they said that expectations, and when you have expectations, unfulfilled expectations, that's how you get upset. If you have no expectations, you won't get upset, you won't feel joy, you won't feel happiness. So I had these massive expectations. So I wrote down this note, right? I went to the wall and I'm praying. You ever seen the guys praying? It's like they're listening to the Metallica or something like that. And I'm praying, I'm doing my thing. And I open my eyes and I'm just like, nothing. Nothing happened. I don't know what I was expecting, but my expectations were unfulfilled. So what happened was a journey. What does it mean to wrestle with God? That's what? Yisrael. So I'm wrestling with God. But what I did not wrestle with was my love for Israel. And being a Zionist. And being a proud Zionist, right? Now I've been called a lot of names online. If you're not comfortable being called a lot of names, don't do stuff online. But the bigger you get, the bigger your target, and the bigger and worse the names. And I'll never forget, he's a Zio. So what the hell's that? Right? I guess that's a bad term. I said, proud Zio right here. That Israel is amazing. For those of you, put your hand up high this time, who has not been to Israel? You have to go. Birthright Israel, sign up. How old are you guys?
15.
You're 15.
20.
How old?
20.
20, you gotta go, buddy. Joe, you're gonna be 18 soon. By the way, real quick, just how old are you? Boom, 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 boom. Just yell out your ages.
25.
25?
28.
13.
Okay. Who's the oldest person here?
33.
Okay. Gotcha. I learned very quickly. You guys grow up real quick. 18, you married, you got a job yet, you got kids, you got a mortgage. What's going on? 18, what? How old are you? Why aren't you married yet? What are you doing? Get it together. So you guys go, but first and foremost, go to Israel. And I fell in love with Israel. And I found myself being a defender of Israel. Now, I love America. That doesn't mean I approve of everything. Come on in, boys. If we can still call people boys and girls these days, I don't know how it works here. Of course. Men, gentlemen, come on in. So, how many of you guys have dealt with anti-Semitism in your lifetime, or anti-Judaism, before October 7th? Before? You have? What happened with you? It's okay. Let's use code words. JMF. I've been called this before. It's okay. Let it roll off the back. It's okay. Anyone else? What happened with you?
I was walking once and someone just came up behind me and started cursing at me because I was Jewish.
Just because you're Jewish. They don't know you. And this was in New York?
This was it.
Unbelievable. Anyone else? Ladies, anything ever happened with you? What happened with you? Chaim's wife. What's your real name? Jessica. Lovely girl. Chaim. Of course, stud. What happened with you, Jessica?
I was in high school and someone asked me, what's the difference between a Jew and a pizza?
Yes.
And they said that a pizza doesn't scream when it's put into the oven.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Right? So, the reason I ask you that is, did it get worse after October 7th for many of us in here? It did, right? Way worse. Would you say that we're, 15 months post October 7th? Would you say that the Jewish community is more, less, or the same divided? We're less divided than ever, right? Are we more together than ever?
Yes.
Right? Lemons, lemonade, we know the story. So, the first time I dealt with anti-Semitism, which I think is just anti-Judaism, right? Anti-Jew. I was in college. I played college football. I was in North Carolina. And it was all in the same week. Come in, gentlemen. And I ended up getting a football scholarship to a school in North Carolina to play football. Now you'd think, a Jewish guy from Miami going to a small school in North Carolina, Greensboro, to play football. You would think, what the hell's wrong with this boy? So I ended up there, and I'll never forget. It was Yom Kippur is always on October-ish, right? September, October. Yes. Fact check me, someone. Chaim, you're my guy.
September.
And football season always starts in September. So we're about 3 to 4 weeks into the season, and it's Yom Kippur. What do we do on Yom Kippur, guys? What do? We don't do nothing. We fast. We go to temple. There was no temple in town. So I prayed in my dorm room, and football practice always started at 3 p.m. So I showed up, and you better be in your pads on the field at 2:59, or you're running laps. Because if you're there on time, you're late. At Coach Marion Kirby's Greenboro football, okay? You better be on time, boy. So it's 3 p.m. I show up, just dressed normal, and I say, "Hey, Coach." And he goes, why aren't you in your pads, boy? This guy is a 75-year-old old white man, has been coaching football since the day he was born, right? I said, "Coach, it is Yom Kippur, and I can't practice today." He said, Yom what? I said, "It's Yom Kippur, and I can't practice today." "What in the world is Yom Kippur?" I said, "I really got to explain this now." Okay, so in Judaism, Yom Kippur, it's the Day of Atonement. And what happens is when you... Boy, I don't want to hear a lecture about Yom Kippur. Go get your pads on, boy. Get you out of on the field. I said, "Sir, Coach, I can't practice today. It's Yom Kippur. I can't eat, can't drink. I'm fasting. I probably shouldn't even be here at practice right now, but here I am." He said, "Boy, I can't even deal with you right now. Keep in mind I'm a freshman, right? So you don't have a lot of credibility." He said, "Boy, get on, walk around the field and pick up trash." I said, "Okay, I guess I'm going to go pick up trash. And put a helmet on, boy." Okay. So there I am. Just imagine me, Adam, like this, walking around with a helmet on, picking up trash on Yom Kippur. And I'm thinking, number one, I'm definitely transferring out of this school. Get the hell out of here. Number two, how does this guy not even know about Yom Kippur? Nothing. Zero. Never even heard about it. No one even brought it up in 40 years of coaching. Oh, he just doesn't know. So then I developed a nickname amongst all my classmates, my players at school. They started calling me Brew. I was like, oh, because, I like to have a good time and drink a beer or two. No. Short for Hebrew. You're the brew. Hebrew. Interesting. Got it. Brew. Got it. Yom Kippur, brew. Here we go. And I remember saying I'm transferring, and I transferred for a few reasons. I transferred in-state to Florida State. I grew up in Miami. And I remember thinking, wow, the world doesn't know about Yom Kippur. They don't know about the Jews. They know about oven jokes, apparently. And they know that you're a JMF, but they don't know what we've been through. They don't know 5,000 years of history. They don't know about Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. They don't know that we have amazing rabbis like Rabbi Beni. They don't know how tight-knit we are. They just know we're the Jews. And it's the oldest form of hatred, is that right? So I said, that's North Carolina, no big deal. Haven't really dealt with any anti-Semitism since then. A couple of jokes here and there, no big deal. Then October 7th happened, right? We all remember where we were. We all remember what happened that day. I remember where I was on 9/11. Many of you guys probably weren't even born on 9/11, were you? Who's of age to remember 9/11? Okay, you guys remember. Robert, absolute amazing guy, great sons, great. Where were you on 9/11? You were at work. Where were you? In your office. What part of town? Okay, there he was. Who else raised their hand? Okay, how about you, buddy? Where were you?
I was in Israel.
You were in Israel.
Watching that on the news.
Incredible. Okay. How about you, sir?
I was in high school, gym class.
You're in high school gym class. Okay. I remember I was a senior in college at Florida State. I was there with my roommates, my buddies. I remember my friend Robert's mom called at like 8 a.m., turned on the news. We had no idea what was happening. No idea. I said, okay. So, does anybody not remember where they were on October 7th? How about you? I'll start with the young man. You said you're 15? Why aren't you 16? Why aren't you married yet? What's wrong with you? Where were you on October 7th?
I was at home with my family.
You're at home with your family, you remember? Okay. How about you, Joe? You remember where you were? Okay, you were also at home. Sir, do you remember where you were? You were at home? Okay. Where I was I was on my way on a Saturday morning, right, to do a podcast, the PBD podcast, with Patrick Bet-David and a guy called Tim Poole, if you ever heard of the Timcast, and also a guy called Jimmy Dore, who was part of the Young Turks. So we very rarely do a podcast on Saturday mornings, but there I am, getting messages from my friend who I just was at his wedding in Israel, July of 2023. Okay? Boom! It hits me. Now, by the way, just to backtrack, I've been to Israel 3 times in my life. Birthright Israel, if you have not been, go. Period. I was in my 20s. Second time was about 10 years later. I went for my friend Or's wedding. I told the story last night. Or's wedding. Amazing. And then, 10 years later, which was last year, I went for his brother Dor's wedding. Right? So Or and Dor, they're getting married. And the third brother, Snore, we're waiting on him to... There's no Snore, but we added that. I said I brought my mother to Israel for her first time in 30 years. I told the story last night at dinner. Thank you, by the way. Amazing dinner. Awesome. Michael was there. There he is, Michael, Edward. Awesome people. Thank you for dinner. Amazing. And for dinner tonight. And my mother, like a typical, like Yenta, Ashkenazi. Oh my God, the place is so amazing. It was just so much of that, right? And I was like, oh, Mom, I get it, okay? Like, act like you've been here before, you know? It's been 30 years, this whole deal. And the reason I was in Israel, and it was such a big deal, is the day before, I had flown from Bucharest, Romania, back home to Miami, picked up my mom, went to Israel. Why was I in Romania? It's because PBD and I were interviewing a guy called Andrew Tate, who, controversial figure to say the least. We won't go there. But there's a message that not everyone that you agree with or disagree with is an enemy or an ally. You know, Ronald Reagan once said, someone you agree with 80% of the time is a friend and ally, not a 20% enemy. And I've learned that. Okay. Interesting. So, because I don't agree with everything you said, I'm not going to hate you. Or because I do agree with one thing you said, doesn't mean I'm going to like you. It's a spectrum. Point is, I go to Israel, fall in love with Israel again, and Dor, whose wedding I just went to, he had told me the day before, hey Adam, just want to tell you, my wife and I were pregnant. Oh my God, amazing, da, 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 ba, 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 ba. So we're messaging, that was that Friday, Shabbat Shalom, amazing. I get a message from him that morning, I'm thinking he's going to show me like a sonograph or, you know. Adam, did you hear about what's going on in Israel? No, what's going on? He starts to sending me footage, videos. This is before it really started popping up on social media. And then boom, CNN, boom, Fox, boom, Wall Street Journal, boom, 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 boom. It's all breaking news. And I get to the podcast, and we cover current events, we cover politics, and first topic, okay guys, what happened in Israel? Tim Poole, one of the biggest podcasters in the world, what do you think? What happened? He goes, I didn't even hear about it, what happened? I don't even know. Jimmy Dore, you're massive, you're part of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, you got all, what happened? I don't know, what's going on? All right, hey Adam, you're Jewish, you've been to Israel, what happened, what's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. Terrorists attacked. This was Israel's 9/11. I'll go into detail. But we all understand what happened on 9/11. This is what happened to the kibbutzim and to people at the Nova Music Festival in Israel. What I didn't anticipate, this goes on to the anti-Semitism problem, was the reaction from the world. On October 7th and then October 8th, joy, rejoice. We did it. I said, what is happening all around here? What's going on here? The first thing that they came out was that there was a society or a club in Harvard. The Palestinian movement of Harvard came out and denounced Israel after they were attacked on October 7th. I looked around, I said, am I taking freaking crazy pills? You ever seen, what's the movie with Mugatu, Zoolander? Anyone? He said, well, am I taking crazy pills right here? I'm taking crazy pills that Israel's the bad guy? Israel's being applauded for being attacked? The Palestinians, the terrorists, the Hamas, they're freedom fighters? Was Osama bin Laden is somehow the good guy now? What is going on here? Justification of terrorism? Killing innocent civilians? This is being applauded? What is happening? And it made me realize, as Chaim said, this world is kind of upside down right now. This DEI, woke agenda, progressive values, intersectionality, decolonization, all these buzzwords are popping up. Critical race theory, what? And what happened was, and you guys, being that you, Uzbekistan was part of the USSR, you would understand the Soviet Union. When the Soviet Union crumbled, the ideas and dissemination didn't crumble. A lot of it actually ended up sort of becoming blended with jihadism and Islamism. So there was an article that came out, I don't know, 6 months ago about strange bedfellows, how the progressive left is in cahoots or in bed with the jihadist extremist right. Gays for Gaza. We've all heard the joke. Okay, go be gay in Gaza. Let me know how that works out for you. By the way, newsflash, guys, I'm giving free first-class tickets for any gays for Gaza that want to go to Gaza or go to Iran or go to Afghanistan or go to Syria. One-way ticket, though. Do you want it or not? No one's taking me up on this offer. What is happening? So we're reliving what our great-grandparents, our grandparents, our forefathers, our foremothers have experienced all their lives. And we're living in it. But there's a difference now. We're united. We're powerful. We're finding each other. Social media is how I met Rabbi Beni. Social media is how I met this stud of an IDF soldier, my friend Rafi. So it's all finding each other. You know, in the Valuetainment, PBD says, entrepreneurs, like-minded individuals, capitalists, free thinkers, we're all finding each other. And we can all connect. We developed an app called Connect where you can reach out and talk to each other. Right? So we're all finding each other. And we're all, my assumption, you guys tell me because we're going to do Q&A. At what point are you guys not looking around the world and being like, what the hell is going on here? We're the bad guys? So who said they were walking on the street and someone said, you Jewish mother? Who said that? Who was that? What did you do that day?
I had an internship at the DA's office, and I was in the subway.
Okay.
And some guy was like, you have any money? I was like, nah, I don't have any money, sorry. And then I didn't worry, like, I didn't look Jewish, he just calls me Jewish.
Just, that's it.
Yeah.
You didn't even know you were Jewish. It's just racial epithet. Let's do it. Who else said that something happened to them over here? What happened to you?
I have an interesting story. I used to work in a flea market like 10 years ago. And I had a woman that came up to me and asked me, like, where are you from? So I'm like, I'm from here, but I'm Jewish. And she responds to me and starts accusing me, why do you poison Palestinian wells, like water? Why do you poison, why do you do this, why do you do that? And I was shocked to hear that from like an ordinary customer, you know, that just happens to live in New York. That people like this exist in the same city that I exist in. So that was like something I experienced.
Yeah, why are you, what's your name?
My name is Jacob.
Jacob, why are you, Jacob, poisoning Palestinian wells and God? Why are you doing it, Jacob? You're like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
So what's my point in all this? Good, bad, or ugly, we're going to all have collective punishment or collective rejoicement for anything good or bad that happens to the Jewish community. Right? So, it's important for us to understand that you have to stay united here. You know, I just learned about the Bukharin, Ashkenazi, Sephardic, and Rabbi Beni's teaching me a lot. And it's a Sephardic, I didn't know about the Bukharin. Oh my God, okay, but you know, if Robert Aronoff is Bukharin, I'm in, right? So, we've learned that we have our haters, okay? And that we have people, there's how many million Jews? 17 million Jews? How many? Okay. There's how many Muslims? 2 billion? We have a math problem. And even if 1%, someone said even if 1%, and by the way it's more, if 1% of Muslims are Islamists or jihadists, that's how many? 20 million. That's more than we even exist. We got to stay strong. We got to stay united. There's a reason that we're all still here. We survived. This guy says it so eloquently. We fight. So, speaking of Gaza, so one of my friends, my best friend in the world actually, he was a reporter correspondent for CNN. He was a war correspondent. He got sent out. So he was doing CNN and I was doing stand-up comedy. I said, we're both doing things on the mic, buddy. He goes, yeah, but I'm in war zones. You're at the Comedy Cellar. I said, we all got our price to pay, buddy. I mean, this guy was embedded with Hamas. Embedded. In 2005, 2006, there was something called the disengagement, right? When Israel disengaged from Gaza. And I said, what's going on over there? He's like, listen, the IDF is getting out of town. And what happens is, they elected Hamas. Hamas said, we don't want any of you Jew stuff here. They ruined everything. The greenhouses, the infrastructure, they ruined it. So, I'll use Chaim for a second here. He said that there's creators and scavengers. There's lions and the hyenas and the jackals. Yes, but in capitalism or even in communism, there's builders and destroyers. Why is Israel so amazing? We build. Why are Jews so amazing? We build each other up. We stick together. We create companies. We create temples. We create neighborhoods. We create families. We create. We build. We build. We build. What are the Palestinians known for? What are they known for? So I said to, by the way, I had this argument on PBD podcast with this guy Bassem Youssef. And I told the story last night. I said, after October 7th, I was the sort of de facto Jewish guy on one of the biggest podcasts in the world. And I said, all right, let me get ready to have these conversations. It's going to happen inevitably. All right, this guy Bassem Youssef is coming on. Do your research. Okay, gotcha. Israel, all right. Per capita, GDP, all right, inflation rates, Israel, money, okay, jihadism, boom, 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 I got it. GDP per capita, understand what's happening on. All right, I have my talking points. Here we go, boom, Bassem Youssef shows up. Big guy, by the way, okay? Strong guy. He gets in, gets on his flight, and he's kind of like, his back hurts. He said, it's been a long flight, my back's hurting me. Do you have an ice pack? I said, I'll get you an ice pack. All right, I got you, buddy. Here's an ice pack. He goes, oh man, I'm not feeling my best. Thank you. No problem. So treating him nice, treating him loyally, treating him sweet. The podcast starts. And always respectful. We have a rule. Be nice. You ever seen the movie Roadhouse? The old one or the new one? Anybody? Yes. He says, what's the rule here at Roadhouse? Hey boss, what happens if they're bouncers? Patrick Swayze, now they have a new one with, I think, Conor McGregor and Jake Gyllenhaal. He says, hey boss, what happens if someone gets in my face and says not nice things to me? Be nice. What happens if someone pushes me and tells you to get out of the way? Just be nice. What happens if they completely disrespect? Come find me and I'll not be nice. Gotcha. So PBD said, listen, be nice. Whoever it is. This guy Anthony Weiner showed up, if you know who he is. Absolute, can I curse? Douchebag. And we said, we don't disrespect until disrespected. Got it. So, Bassem Youssef, I said, Bassem, let me ask you, you're from where? Egypt. Nice. When's the last time you went back to Egypt? They don't let me back in Egypt. Oh, why not? I said some not nice things about President Sisi. What is it? Mubarak? Who is it these days? Okay, Sisi. Yeah. Oh, so you said a few things and you can't go back in the country? Interesting. What Muslim countries would you go to? Would you go to Syria? No. Would you go to Iran? Oh my God, no way. Lebanon? I don't think so. Afghanistan? No. Where would you go? Yeah, I'd go to Dubai. Of course, you go to Dubai. Like I said last night, half the girls in Miami go to Dubai. No big deal. Would you go to Israel? No. I wouldn't go to Israel. Why wouldn't you go to Israel? They wouldn't treat me nice. They wouldn't treat you nice, really. I said, what about the 2 million Muslim Arabs that live in Israel, that choose to live in Israel, and not any of the other countries, asshole countries, as Trump called them? Oh, why do they stay in Israel? You're racist. What? What are you talking about? When you don't have an argument, you just start doing the name calling. You know this. I said, I'm racist. 43 years of life, I've been called a lot of names. Never once I've been called racist. I said, the problem with you is that you're intellectually lazy. Oh my God, what do you mean? I said, the problem with this part of the world that you're defending is they're more focused on GDT than GDP. I said, I have friends that live in Dubai, I have friends that, even in Saudi, I've become very close with some major people in Saudi, Kuwait, what have you. They don't have a terrorism problem. Why is that? They're more focused on GDP and building people up and creating opportunities for their people, for their country. Whereas you guys are focused on GDT, gross domestic terrorism. I said, until that changes, I don't expect anything to change. So, you said that they're scavengers. I think that a lot of these people, their mission in life is to destroy. Imagine waking up every single day, you have your cereal, or you have, what do you guys in the Bukhari have for breakfast?
Plov.
You have the plov. It doesn't have the plov. You have plov for breakfast and for dinner?
There's a little drawer underneath the bed. You just
No.
pull it out.
Honey, it's plov for the third time today. I can't wait. I said, imagine waking up every single day and your main goal is to hate and destroy. That's what they're doing. You know, I've learned a lot of anecdotes from my friends here, people that message me, hey, you should say this. I can't tell you how nice and helpful the Jewish community has been. Hey, Adam, say this. Hey, Adam, did you know this? I said, no, but thank you. Allow me to let me be your voice out there. I don't take this job lightly. They said, you know, when the Palestinians love their kids as much as they hate Jews or hate Israelis, there could potentially be peace. And then my friend goes, well, you know, the Palestinians, they want peace too. Just the problem is they want a piece of you over here, a piece of you over there, they want to blow it. Imagine this mindset. They just had the Nova Music Festival, this exhibition. It was here in New York. Did any of you guys go to this? Yeah. Incredible. So I went. You know Scooter Braun? Okay, he's the manager of Justin Bieber, Rihanna, Ariana Grande. He's all these guys. He's become a friend from a colleague. Then I get invited, and he says, "I'm going to give you a walkthrough here. Check this out. You know, and you knew a lot of this stuff. You've seen a lot of these videos. One video was so shocking to me. So shocking to me. And no Jew would ever do something like this. Ever. What was it? It was an account. I wish I could even play it for you right now. It was an account of a Hamas terrorist calling his father. Abba, I did it. Not only did I kill one Jew with my bare, I killed 10 Jews with my bare hands. Oh, Allah Akbar, God is so good, amazing. Imagine you, any one of you, you're all in your 20s, 30s, calling Ima or Abba saying, I did it. I killed 10 people today. Mom and Dad, what are you doing? What did you do? No, I'm so proud of you. How do you live with people like this? I don't know. This is going to be a question of our time. I don't understand. Rafi was in the IDF. I don't know. I played college football with Coach Kirby. I don't saw Yom Kippur. I don't deal with this. I have dealt with having lunches and dinners and having fun in Israel, and sirens go off, and my friends go, let's go, run. I said, where are we going? What's going on? This is daily life. I just had 2 days ago. He was like my big brother, Austin. He made Aliyah to Israel. When I was in 6th grade, he was in 9th grade. He was like a big brother to me. And I was always really good at sports, really good at basketball. And even when I was in 6th grade, I was like the best player even against the 9th graders. So everyone always kind of, hey, Adam, you could bring him in. So he says, he's one of the guys like Rafi that always sends me things. Every single day, he sends me an image of how many rocket attacks, missile attacks, they shoot at Israel. Have you seen these images? Any one of you? If it's red, it shows a missile. The whole country's red. What country would allow a terrorist foreign actor to shoot missiles at your country continuously until you act? Think about this. Okay, so you guys are in New York. All right, I have family in San Diego. If Mexican cartel was shooting missiles from Tijuana into San Diego, how quickly would the U.S. respond? And how vigilantly would the U.S. respond? Would it even be a question? Would the world say, United States is being mean to the cartel? No. United States is not treating MS-13, the gangs, they're treating them very unfairly. And by the way, it's apartheid because, they're in Mexico and they're in the United States. Not nice. It wouldn't even be a question. So you start to see all these things, these double standards, the whole apartheid thing, the genocide thing. On October 8th, when they first, were you there? No, you weren't there. I have friends that were there. When they started their campaign, I remember the news outlets, it's a genocide in Gaza. I said, they just started today. It's like 5 people are dead. It's a genocide. It's a genocide. 1,000 people dead. It's a genocide. 2,000, 5,000. I'm seeing it. I'm like, and then I'm arguing with people about this genocide live on air and podcast, and they're trying to convince me. I'm like, yeah, but did you not hear what's going on in Yemen? There's 1 million people dead. Don't worry about Yemen. Nobody cares about Yemen. Yeah, but what about Syria? There's like 500,000 people. Bashar al-Assad killed 500,000 old people. We're not worried about Syria. What are you talking about? Sudan, there's 1 million people dead, millions of people displaced. No Jews, no news. And I said, wow, this apartheid thing. And here's where I can drive this home. Jews have been kicked out of every single country. Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, Afghanistan, Morocco, name a country. There's no Jews there. But who else is getting kicked out these days? The Christians. So, bringing this to the point of being a podcaster and being part of the valuetainment ecosystem and being co-host to, in my opinion, the most amazing, incredible entrepreneur, spokesperson, awesome father, leader, incredible person as Patrick Bet-David, who I've known since 2012. Being next to him, it makes me not insulated. I don't only think of Jews, I think of the world. I think of family, I think of fatherhood, I think of husbands, wives, Christians, Muslims. I have a very unique perspective here. And I said, Patrick, first, the famous thing, first they came for the Jews, then they came for the Gypsies, then they came for the Uzbekis, then they came to Bukharians, then they came for me, but there was nobody to defend me. I said, they've already done this to the Jews, they're doing it to the Christians. Heads up, guys. He says, you don't have to tell me. I'm Iranian Christian, and I had to leave Iran. when I was 12 years old, lived in a refugee camp, made it to America, joined the army, started a business, 20 years, entrepreneur. Now he's probably worth $1 billion. I sit right next to this guy. I said, what are you going to do as a Christian? I said, by the way, you're a proud Assyrian. Not Syrian, Assyrian. I said, Vinny, you're a proud Assyrian, right? You watched the podcast. That's my brother who I argue with. He's just say very passionate. And I said one time, I said, it's okay to be loud. And it's okay to be wrong. But you can't be loud and wrong at the same time, Vinny. Okay. And I said, where's modern day Assyria? Oh, it's in Iraq. We can't. I said, why don't you start a new Assyria? Can't. What do you mean it's in Iraq? Get the Muslims there. Oh, so you don't even have a homeland. I said, what would you do to get a modern day Assyria? A new Assyrian homeland, a new Assyrian empire. What would you do, PPD? What would you do, Vinny? Oh man, it would be the goal of my life. I said, would you defend your homeland till the day you die? Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I said, why don't you have one? We weren't united. We're actually very conflicted. We don't have unity within the Assyrian community. I said, now you know how Jews feel. We were diaspora, Ashkenazi, Sephardic, my Bukharian friends, Persian friends, all over the world. And we got the homeland back. You think we're just gonna let it go now? Because these destroyers want to destroy us? They destroy everything around them. Not us. We're the nicest house in the worst neighborhood, and we're going to put up a fence and we're going to fight back. IDF, respect. So, I say all that to say, I'm a Miami nightlife, ex-stand-up comedian, football player, party guy who made some money in business and started doing podcasting. I never thought in a million years that I would be a voice for Israel. And it crystallized one day, codified one day, when behind the scenes, Patrick, myself, Vinny, and Tom, we had a conversation about Israel. And Vinny, my dear friend, became very close with Candace Owens. And Candace, I have a close but very conflicted relationship. Same with Andrew Tate, same with a lot of these people. And my goal is to teach them and be nicer and win them over. And it'll happen. The conversation came down to, what is your hill you're willing to die on? Vinny, is this your hill you're willing to die on? Israel. Some people, for them it was COVID. I don't like the mandates. My body, my choice. Okay. Some people it's communism. All right, it's the hill I'm willing to die on. Vinny, are you willing to die on this hill of Israel? I don't know. Adam, is this the hill you're willing to die on? 1 million frickin' %. So, when you have clarity and moral clarity, and you're willing to put up or shut up, I found the hill that I'm willing to die on. And here's my last point. A year ago this, towards the end of the year, Patrick came out with a book called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Thank you. Wall Street Journal bestseller. It was his second Wall Street Journal bestseller. The first one was a couple years prior to that, called Your Next 5 Moves, Business Planning. Okay? He says to me, this is in December when the book comes out. Hey Adam, who's your enemy? Who's your enemy? I said, I don't have an enemy. I don't have I can't even think of an enemy. Because my whole life, I talked about this with Rabbi Beni. I said there's three things that I focus on. Relationships, reputation, and revenue. RRR. Relationships. How you doing? What's up? Hi, Beni. How you doing? Fostering relationships, appreciating relationships, treating people how you want to be treated. Respect. Relationships. Reputation. You go around anywhere in Miami. Hey, what do you think of? Oh, I love Adam. I went to high school with Adam. Man, great guy, awesome guy. Your reputation. There's a famous quote by Jack Bogle. He started the company called Vanguard. So any of my investors out there. He said, when I die, my one wish, this guy's a multi-billionaire, he says, my one wish was what? I wish that I die with my reputation intact. So, and we see what happens with, whether it's the Bill Cosby's of the world or the Harvey Weinstein's of the world, whoever it is. You can be amazing for 50 years. One thing comes out, you ruin your reputation forever. And the last thing is revenue. So he says, who's your enemy? I said, man, Pat, I really don't know. I don't really have an enemy. You need an enemy. You need an enemy. I said, you need an enemy. Okay, I'm going to think long and hard. And then the Bassem Youssef podcast goes out. And what people don't notice, we got into this argument. You're racist, you're this, you're that. Okay, I said, Bassem, at the end of this podcast, I'm not going to allow you to do what happened on Pierce Morgan 2 nights ago, where you or the other gentleman, I think it was the one rabbi, who's Rabbi Shmuel, they wouldn't shake hands. Or they wouldn't. I said, I'm not that guy. I'm not going to have this whole argument here, not say a few things, and then you leave and talk trash about you. I'm going to put it all out here. And when we do have this conversation, you and I are going to shake hands and hug at the end. Capiche? Capiche. Cool. And we did it. We have pictures. Yada, 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 right? All right. PBD pulls me aside very rarely after a podcast as they say, we need to talk. If ever, we need to talk. Come to my office. Okay. Oh no, what did I do? Did I disrespect a guest? Did I not follow the rules? What did I do wrong? He said, wow, what a podcast. He said, you and him went back and forth for 2 hours and didn't even speak. I go, yeah. He goes, you killed him. You absolutely killed that guy. I said, what? He goes, oh my God, it was bad. I said, I actually didn't know how I did. I thought I lost, but I fought. You know, I don't have all the facts. I don't have all the data. I'm not from Israel. I'm an American Jew, proud. He goes, oh no, you absolutely destroyed him. The comments are gonna be bad for him. But what I didn't realize, like Rafi said, is we're very much outnumbered. And all of a sudden, the Zionist, the Jew, the death threats, hatred, anti-Semitism, blew up. Whoa. I don't read Twitter comments anymore. I don't read Instagram comments anymore. I don't read YouTube comments anymore. Not unless I feel like, you know, like I'm like into S&M or something like that. Not nice comments. And I realized that despite me not having an enemy, or not choosing my enemies wisely, my enemies found me. And who are my enemies? Extremists. People that cannot be reasoned with. You cannot reason with the terrorists. You know, I say on the podcast all the time, Israel is literally negotiating with terrorists. How do you do this? Ishmael Haniyeh, whatever these guys are, Yahya Sinwar, they're, if anything, you have to respect that they are true believers and they will fight to the day they die to kill you. They'd rather kill you than protect their own family. You've seen clips of Palestinian women, oh, your son's a martyr, thank God, he's going up to heaven, he gave his life. This is what we're dealing with. So, my enemies found me, and the next day, 2 days later after the podcast, death threats, hateful comments. I mean, we've all run into these things. I'm talking by the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. And PBD tees it up. He says, Adam, you're not exactly the most liked guy on the internet right now. There's actually a new show out there called Everybody Hates Adam. What do you have to say for yourself? I said, okay. channeling the words of the great Elon Musk to the Islamists and the jihadists and the Gaza crew, go yourself. They look at me like I'm crazy. But stand for something or fall for anything. This is a little, I'm going to have a little fun with the Bukharan community. I'm not married. I don't have kids. In your world, I'd be like a grandfather. I mean, what is wrong with this guy? Yeah, so, well, let me tell you, life's going okay. Don't worry. We're gonna have lots of kids, and we'll do it soon, but it's been a journey. The opportunity, it's okay. Where was I? Remind me. Yeah, where was I before that?
Marriage.
The Bukharan community, of course, yes, I don't have kids. To many of you, maybe the hill you're willing to die on is your family. You should, right? Your wife, your spouse, your husband. No doubt. For me, my friends, my family, my community, this is my family. This is the hill I'm willing to die on. So my message to you, you might not have a podcast, you might have a small podcast, you might have a voice, you might not have any voice. Everyone has a weapon. There's hard power, there's soft power. How do you fight? Guys like Rafi and the IDF, literally fighting with weapons. Soldiers, guns, missiles, bombs, Air Force. But then there's also soft power, diplomacy, friendships, conversations, donations, money. But also, I've come to realize this is a weapon. Whether you have one follower or tens of millions like we do at Valuetainment, we utilize this weapon. And thank you for embracing me, for being a voice for the community, for Jews, for American Jews, for the Bukharan community that's embraced me. This is amazing. So, thank you. I really appreciate all the kind words. I know I was supposed to speak for 20 minutes, but when I'm here in the Bukharan community, I gotta do what I gotta do. But thank you, Rabbi Beni. And I mean this sincerely. And people say these words, but I really mean it. God bless America. God bless Israel. And God bless you guys for being here. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to speak.
Unbelievable words. It's all in Bet Elio, guys. All in Bet Elio. The other places missed opportunities, but it's all good. We're going to take a few Q&A, but I'm going to ask two questions, one for Adam and one for Rafi. And then we're going to pick Q&A. Chaim, you want to just find out who wants to go first and second, make a line, So my first question will be to Adam, yeah? Yeah. So Adam, why... Let me try to phrase this the right way, okay? What's your next 5-year plan? I'm not going to say 10-year plan, 5-year plan. What are we going to do to make our presence in social media in a way that we can really inspire and kind of convert those who are, kind of hating on us? What do you think?
Okay, so in terms of being Jewish, in terms of...
In terms of the podcast, how do we push the message out there more?
The message of...
We're not genocidal, we're not...
Of course.
Yeah, we're not...
Well, look, we know the truth. We're here speaking. Has anybody here brought up, we gotta kill them all? Has that even been a thing? That's not a thing. That's not in our DNA. So we know the truth. And I said this on Rabbi Beni's podcast, the famous quote, and I apply it towards Jews in Israel. Truth passes through 3 stages. First, you're ridiculed. Oh, you're an idiot. You don't know nothing. Next, you're violently opposed. I hate Israel. Oh my God, it's genocide. They're the worst. It's apartheid. But then third, it's accepted and realized as self-evident that this is the truth. We know the truth. We actually don't have ill will towards these people. We want our land. We want to be Jews. We want to practice our religion. We don't want to be ostracized or condemned. You know, the days of walking down a street and being cursed at, we can't really do anything about that. That is what it is. Those are individuals. But the collective punishment, when you see the criminal courts, and Rafi knows about this because he has conversations about the ICJ or the ICC, the United Nations, it's actually pretty disgusting when you see that Israel has been condemned more times than North Korea, Iran, Syria. And I think if you add it all up, it doesn't even equal how much condemnation or allegations that Israel has against us. So there's 48, 50 Arab Muslim countries? There's one Israel. Thank God we have America by our side. Thank God. What we can all do as individuals, it's actually pretty simple. Be good. Be a good person. Don't screw people over. Do the right thing. We all make mistakes, no doubt. But when a Jew does something bad, so for instance, I'll give you an example. Did you hear about these real estate guys in Miami?
Yeah.
The Alexander twins?
Yeah.
Have you heard about these guys? Does anybody not know? Some of the biggest realtors, real estate guys in the country. They have offices in New York and in Miami. I grew up with these guys. I grew up with their older brother. So there's 3 brothers that are in jail right now, and 1 that lives in Israel. I grew up with the older brother, known him my whole life. And I've known them, we run in the same circles, I said on the podcast. I don't know what these guys did or didn't do. I don't know. But I know, those Jews got arrested for doing whatever. Not a good look. I don't know what the hell Jeffrey Epstein did or Harvey Weinstein. I don't know. Or Bernie Madoff. Those Jews again. So I don't know how it works in other communities, even the Bahrain community. You're a reflection on your family. You're a reflection on your community. So, I talked about your reputation. These days, no matter what you do, the truth's going to come out. You can't hide anything these days. You can hide it for a week, a month, a year, 5 years. If you do something wrong, social media will expose you like that. So the best thing you can do is do the right thing. Be a good person. And the last part is we need allies. We can't do it alone. There's 17 million of us. So make friends. Like I did a video the other day with my co-host Natalia. She's half Puerto Rican, half Guyanan, pretty brown girl. And that's my homegirl, it's my friend. I'm not Jewish, she's Catholic. And she gets on there, she's got a pretty big following, and she's like, Happy Hanukkah, Adam, I'm eating matzah soup. Rabbi said, tell her it's matzah ball soup. I love the Jews, thank you. She's an ally, she's a friend. PBD, huge voice, ally, friend. So it's bigger than just being within your community. That's great. Make friends with your community. But have black friends, have Christian friends, have Mexican friends, Latino friends, Asian friends who say, that's my buddy, he's Jewish, and I'll defend him. And I'll defend his people. So when you ask them, hey, do me a favor, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, I got you, buddy. We can't just be insulated because there's not enough of us. We have a numbers problem. We need friends, we need allies. So you're never going to convince the haters to be on your team, but convince the people that are neutral. I don't know. Do I like the Jews? Do I not like the Jews? Do I like the Bukharians or not? I like those guys. So that's all individualism. Anyway, that's my answer.
Wow, very good, love it. Rafael, my question to you is, yes, how was it in the IDF, and let's be honest, what mistakes did the IDF do in this war? Like, there's a lot of issues where there was too much social media by the IDF. They should have never done the social media. Like Piers Morgan said something very smart. He said, how you not have journalists, but then you have these IDF soldiers dancing and parading that can be misconstrued or misrepresentative of the IDF. I mean, I think that was, in my point of view, I think that they should have been more enforceful that there was no TikToks or social media done by the IDF. What do you say? You were the IDF. How do you answer that, or do you agree with what I'm saying?
I've agreed. And first of all, I want to just say, because I forgot to say it before, I want to give a shout out to my three very good friends, Shimon Yeshanayev, a Bukharian gentleman, and we have my two Moroccan friends. They're sticking out. They're a little undercover. You might have thought they were Bukharian. Itamar and Netanel right there. My boys. So thank you to the three of you for coming and showing love. Appreciate it. Now, in terms of the army, I was in a very right-wing unit. I was in the most right-wing unit in the army, arguably, Nachal Haredi and Netzach Yehuda. It was the one unit that the U.S. was thinking of sanctioning. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it didn't end up happening in the end. But we are a very right-wing unit, and we do things, I guess you could say, less by the book, which I think is very effective. And actually, the soldier that killed Yahya Sinwar was in commander's course from the same unit, so it's like a really big pride. I don't know him personally, but it's pretty awesome. What I would say in response to Rabbi Beni's question is I think Israel took way too long in accomplishing this goal, and the reason that it's taking so long is due to international pressure. Unfortunately, the government still has this desire to appease and apologize, and we're always justifying, and the problem is it leads to prolonging of the inevitable. You know, the terrorists, Hamas, took over 200 hostages, and we're negotiating, and we're dilly-dallying, and we're going back and forth. And ultimately, the problem with negotiating with these terrorists and trying to get back hostages is it tells the terrorists that now they can go, God forbid, and kidnap hostages again down the road. God forbid, chas v'chalila. So what we need to do is we need to focus on making sure that this doesn't happen again. And we need to fight the war. It's an unfortunate thing to say, but we need to, what we should have done was we should have fought the war with a lot less mercy than we did in the beginning. We should have completely shut off electricity so the tunnels were non-operational. All the Hamas terrorists would have to come out of the tunnels. We should have been, quite frankly, a lot more brutal earlier on, even if there were a larger amount of Gazan deaths. So the war would be finished earlier, and hopefully they would give the hostages back out of pressure. The sad truth is that Israel messed up. Israel messed up, and the fact that these hostages were taken is a huge failure on Israel's part. And when we wage these wars, we have to put total victory on, even before hostages, because our enemies cannot know that that's a pawn they can use. And it's a very hard thing to say, because if I had a family member, if any of you had family members that were kidnapped, we'd want anything to get them back. But we have to think of the future children, the future Israelis that can be kidnapped. We have to think about what could happen going forward. And the leader, Bibi, has one of the hardest jobs in the world. He has an extremely difficult position, and his job is to protect the entire country of Israel, but even more so the Jews. The Jews outside of Israel are part of his responsibility. If, God forbid, in New York, Jews were being beaten and chas v'shalom, I say it very, very seriously, hopefully it never happens. But if one day a country outside of Israel became another Germany, again, God forbid, a million times, we know that we have an army now to go and protect those Jews. And so I think, thank God, we've been able to defeat our enemies now. We've killed the leadership of Hezbollah. We've killed the leadership of Hamas. We're doing incredibly well, but it's taking a very long time. And so my ultimate response is that we should have been a little less nice earlier on, and this hopefully could have been closed a lot sooner. Less money, less soldiers' deaths. Hopefully we could have even rescued hostages earlier. But at the end of the day, you live and you learn. That's what Jews do. So we'll get out of this. We'll make it through. We'll bounce back, and we'll always win as we always do.
Okay, so you didn't answer about the social media stuff.
Remind me about the question.
Right. With the social media, they were posting and they were singing, and they were saying, "Oh, the Jews are singing for the deaths." They didn't understand that was morale. You know what I mean? Like they didn't get that. Non-Jews.
Singing about the deaths.
Yeah, like I can't show you this. But there was a lot of social media posts that they said that they didn't like that. Like the soldiers were holding lingerie, making fun of people, and all that stuff. That they were made a whole big deal about it in social media, like in Piers Morgan and other shows. What do you think about that? That's what I was referring to. Did you agree with that or not?
Do I agree with the dancing?
whatever they posted, they did on social media.
You're saying soldiers dancing with lingerie and
Or whatever is making fun and doing all that stuff.
Oh, I mean, to me, that's, I wouldn't say it's such a simple response, but I think people forget that soldiers are humans. I think people that have never been in any violent circumstance expect soldiers to be these perfect robots with guns that just do everything they're told, and there's no emotion. They're just complete machines. You're forgetting that we're talking about 18, 19, 20-year-olds. They're kids. I mean, they have massive responsibility, but they're high-strung. They're going out to bars, right? They're high testosterone young people, and they have vengeance. It's their family members, their friends who were killed in the Nova Festival. They ultimately are brothers and sisters of people who were killed. And yeah, you give them a gun, you tell them to go into Gaza, and you expect that they're just going to go in and hug people. It's a little naive. They're humans. So if you put young people, even older people, into a place where only a few days ago those civilians were celebrating in the streets, beating the hostages in the pickup trucks, gathering and cheering and screaming, and now you send a bunch of angry Jews into Gaza to get revenge, and you think they're not gonna mess around a little bit? Am I condoning it? Not exactly. Would I have done similar things, knowing me when I was in the army? I'm just going to be honest. Like, I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm just very honest. I'm not going to beat around the bush. The lingerie thing, I can't say that that's something I would have done. But what I would say is, would I go in with a level of vengeance? I probably would. It's just God's honest truth. So I think we have to be I want to be clear, I'm not condoning bad behavior in any sense. What I'm saying is there has to be more of a nuance and understanding, the same way I can understand, let's say Palestinians, even Gazans, if Israel bombs a building and their entire family dies, even though it's deeper, even though there's a lot of reasoning as to why a building was bombed, I can understand why they would hate us. I think it's very important that we understand the other side.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
Yeah, but before Adam says something, I just want to give a big shout out to AM, Aaron Matatov, and my son Joe, for the production that we've been doing with the podcast, from Daniel Baldwin to Adam Sosnick, and hopefully to Rafi, and hopefully we get to Jordan Peterson one day, and Joe Rogan. May God bless. Go ahead. No offense to you.
That's okay. Jordan Peterson, I'll get him on the phone right now. Let me say one thing about the social media thing. So it was, I was having dinner the other night, and it was actually after the Nova Festival in Miami, and I took my producer, a friend of mine, and a girl to dinner. I said, guys, let's have a bite over here. And she goes, oh my God, did you hear about so-and-so? They got divorced. I go, oh, that's so unfortunate. And she goes, and on Instagram, they looked so happy. I said, did you hear the statement you just said? On Instagram, they looked happy? That's what you're basing this marriage on Instagram? I said, we've all taken 50 pictures and we take the best one, and then you Facetune it, and that goes up on Instagram. You don't post a picture of you, so we know that. So you can't believe everything that's on social media. And a friend of mine said, we are no longer living in the information age. We are now living in the validation age. You saw that on social media. When was the video posted? Who posted it? What's it from? I even messed up one time. I don't even know whatever this bra or lingerie was. Someone sent me a video of, he said, it's a Syrian friend of mine. No, Lebanese. He says, did you see this video? This is the IDF celebrating the death of civilians after they went in. What's going on here with this video? How do you justify this? And I watched the video, and it's like the coolest dance video I've ever freaking seen in my life. Okay, this guy comes in on this chariot underwear, and he's just diving into the crowd, and it was just amazing. And they're like, how do you justify that? I'm like, I don't even know. Well, it turns out it was 3 years ago at his wedding. And I was like, oh, all right. So, and I said to the guy, I go, even if it was, there's a difference between public policy and government affairs and policy versus people doing what they celebrated. I said, if we condemned the Arab world for every time they said, death to America, death to Israel, we wouldn't have enough footage. We wouldn't have enough cameras to hold all the footage. What's the policy? What's the government affairs? So what is that? What is that? So social media, you can't always believe what's on social media. So, you know, I saw they look so happy on Instagram. Listen to what you're saying right now. So that's my answer.
Very good answer. I appreciate your answers, guys. Chaim, anyone who wants to ask any questions? Yeah. Who's first? Time to come up. Go ahead, what's your name? Say your name.
My name is Daniel Eliashiv.
Okay.
Just some background, and then I have one question.
Okay.
Um,
We got light candles, so just not a long background.
Very quick.
Okay.
Okay, first thing I just want to add for the separation in 2005. I was there, I served in the army back at that time. To the extent of how bad was it, we had farmers at the place trying to teach the Palestinians how to use the farms before we leave, literally explaining the instructions, look what we have here, and they just after that went and took everything out. Our mission as a unit was there to remove basements from homes, blowing them up. But that was a must do.
So they destroyed all
They
the
just,
farms.
in front of them, just destroyed out of
Yeah.
spite and hate. And I don't know how many people know, but Israeli agriculture is very, very lucrative, very, very advanced. And they just gave it all away and they destroyed it. It was terrible to watch.
Builders and destroyers is what we
Exactly.
covered.
I'll go to soldiers as human beings. I served 4 years in the Israeli army. It's very hard to police Israeli soldiers. After all, we're Israelis. And throughout my service, I always thought, what's the difference between an Israeli soldier or American soldier or a Russian soldier? The big difference in my eyes was that, I'll say a Russian soldier, you'll tell him to go and die for a cause, he'll just do it. Israeli soldier will think twice and find the best solution to do that, using more brains and neshama. So, and seeing those videos, as bad as it looks in front of the world, I think we're all humans, and they celebrated out of big neshama and a lot of pain that was in it. And I think in Judaism, something that we always live with is comedy. And it's very important, it keeps us alive.
Comedy.
Comedy.
Yeah.
It's very important, in Judaism especially.
Yeah.
As for social media, throughout COVID, I mean, when October 7 happened, in the month or two after, I remember I used to go to Texas very often, and I met a friend right after the hospital was bombed, Shifa.
Yeah.
And the friend that I met was very isolated from the Jewish community, because we're Jewish, and told me, like, oh, can you believe what happened? I'm like, what? Israelis bombed the hospital. I'm like, how can you say that? And when I said that, I started to think, I'm like, what? He's so isolated from the community and from the information that people receive and how bad social media can be. So I think we have to use social media wisely and keep, as you said, relationship to educate people. And it's just a matter of time until the world will accept the third stage, as you said. And here's my question. When COVID happened, of course, all of us had a lot of time to sit home and think what's going to happen and where the world is heading to. My thought at the time was 1929. And before that, the Black Plague. And what happened right after? And my question to you, what do you think, how it is resembles? Because if you look at it, the sequence of events is pretty similar. And the blame always, scapegoats went towards the Jews. What do you think in this day and age, Adam, in this day and age, how is this interpreted and how October 7th was related to that?
So refine your question. Just
how COVID affected that. Because COVID created a lot of mess in the world, especially financial
How did
mess.
COVID affect the bringing up those? What was the
Okay.
main points that brought it? Because it seems like they'd be saying that people are to fruition. Just guys, anyone's asking questions, try to shorten the questions. We got a hard out, I think, at 8 o'clock. Adam.
Okay. You know, it's funny, I haven't made that correlation between October 7th and COVID, right? So COVID was March of 2020, so it would have been, right, 3.5 years later.
You didn't have enough time to build those.
Oh, you're saying that because you're saying from Hamas perspective, giving them time to build the tunnels? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't look at it from the Hamas perspective, but
Yeah.
the way the world reacted.
Yeah. I don't know, I don't know what the correlation would be, but I mean, I will kind of real quickly go through the sequence of events that I remember. So, March of 2020, the NBA shut down, the NHL shut down, Rudy Gobert is touching all the microphones. Do you remember? So I remember when I lived in Miami my whole life. I moved to Dallas to team up with PBD. I went in May of 2020, and I told people I'm getting on a flight and going to Dallas. People are like, "You're gonna die." I said, "What? You bet you're gonna fly?" I was like, "Yeah, what am I gonna..." I even went there and I had, I think, 17 masks on, a hazmat suit, 15 different pairs of gloves. I don't know what was going on. Nobody knew what was going on. Okay? Flight was empty. I think I paid like $3 for the flight. I mean, ridiculous, right? Airline stocks all plummeted. We know what happened with that. But then the world started opening up. Texas and Florida were some of the states that sort of opened up before other states. I mean, you guys are in New York. You guys were, I've become very, very close with Chris Cuomo, his brother, Governor Cuomo. But do you remember when people started traveling for the first time? It was animals let out the freaking zoo. Fist fights on planes. Unbelievable. They acted like they've never been in public spaces before. It was insane. So what we realize is when people are cooped up, we're not meant to be that we are social creatures. We're not supposed to be in our basement on a Zoom the rest of our lives. Our whole lives, for generations and generations and generations, up until basically the last 10 years, you would have to go touch and feel Zoom meetings? What are you talking about? I read a book called Lincoln on Leadership that PBD recommended, or at Abraham Lincoln. You didn't see an Abraham Lincoln reference coming up right here, did you, my friend? He would go, even in the war, and circulate amongst the troops. How you doing? Good to see you, blah, blah. We lost a lot of human interaction and human connection. And especially Gen Z, which will get me to my point. Even in America, there's a clear division between the 35-plus community and the 35 and under community. The 35-plus community, who lived through 9/11, who understands what terrorism is, that understands who are good guys and bad guys, that understands that you root for Rocky, not Ivan Drago, right? That understands you root for Indiana Jones, not the Nazis. We understand this stuff. The 35 and under community was like, no! Osama bin Laden. I saw it on TikTok. He's the good guy. All right. Okay. So I don't know if it's COVID, it's social media, it's exposure, it's TikTok, it's not being around people. People went a little nuts. I don't know the exact correlation with Hamas and Gaza, but there is a correlation with the sympathy that people feel for the freedom fighters versus the only democracy in the Middle East who is pro-America and is an ally to America. So I don't know what motivates people, but certainly COVID and sitting in your mom's basement, so to speak, did not help with most people. Social media is not socializing. So I always encourage young people especially, get out there and talk to people. You can't put a price on social capital. I've done many podcasts with Beni before we met in person. How many podcasts did we do? 4 or 5 podcasts. I didn't know. I see, Beni! We went out to dinner. This guy says, I got to eat kosher. I said, yeah, with this restaurant we're going to, not kosher. We argued for 20 minutes. Just bring your food in the stupid restaurant. No, they're going to get mad at me, dog. Beni, so the interaction.
She liked the food.
She liked the food. I don't know what COVID is, but certainly sitting around looking at TikTok all day, doom scrolling, is not a recipe for good things.
Very cool. Guys, we got to do quick questions because we got a hard out at 8. Who's next?
I'll be quick.
Okay, come on.
Adam, first of all, huge fan.
Thank you, buddy.
You said earlier you never met a Baharian until a couple years ago,
So my friend Ben.
but your haircuts look too fresh. I think you're Baharian. So, quick question about money. I know you're big in the life settlement space.
Yeah.
I bought one recently, like a couple years ago.
Wow, you bought a policy.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Baharian?
I don't know, this man.
No, so I just wanted to ask you, like, what do you think about the like investing in life settlements? What you think it's still good? Like, just I mean,
we can have a side question, but wouldn't recommend you start getting involved in any. Here, I'll answer this. So let me not be too specific because half the people are like, "What are you talking about?" When it comes to money, if you don't understand something, whatever it is, whether it's crypto, whether it's real estate, whether it's life settlements, you're like, I don't even know what I'm buying or investing. You know what you should do? Nothing. Don't put money in. Do your research. Learn. Ask questions. How did I become big in social media? How did I get good with money? Because as I started making money, I said, wow, when I was 25, I was my brokest friend, 35, I'm a millionaire. I want to start doing stuff on social media. What's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to start asking every successful person I know, tell me what you know about money. How'd you learn major money? Tell me this. And I just listened and listened and listened and listened, and then I simplified things. I'm a big, the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. I'm always solving for whatever the LCD, lowest common denominator. I don't understand what you're saying. And you have no idea how many times I'll have a conversation, like Beni, he'll explain all the Talmud and what happened. I said, I don't understand anything you just said. Say it again. Explain it to me. Explain it to me like I'm a 5th grader. Because you have to understand something. There's nothing wrong with being like, I don't know. Because I'm actually very clear on who I am and how smart I am. I was never the valedictorian. I was always an A- student, a B+ student. But I was a very good extracurricular. What's my point to you guys right here? I was always the smartest kid in the regular classes and the dumbest kid in the honors classes. I was like, am I smart? Am I stupid? What am I? But what I realized is that I'm smarter than 90% of people. Then there's 10% of people that are like, whoa, who's this guy? I cheat off those kids, right? It's a joke. But if I don't understand something, that means there's 9 out of 10 people that don't understand something. So I know that's not exactly what you asked, but that's my answer. Don't invest in something you don't understand. If you're looking for an explanation and someone takes the time to explain it to you, and they go, understand, makes sense, don't go, yeah, got it, and then walk away and be like, I have no clue what that guy just said. I know, just break it down for me. Simplification, someone said to me, say, the beauty and the elegance is in the simplicity. Keep it simple, stupid.
Very cool. Next.
I don't know, Rabbi.
I know.
This past year on college campuses, including mine, there's been a whole onslaught of pro-Palestine protests and a lot of crazy left-wing ideologies being pushed as usual. And students like me were very inspired by Valuetainment, by the Daily Wire, by many other conservative media influencers to stand up. I actually started writing for my school newspaper because of you, pro-Israel articles. And many other young people like me were inspired by these conservative media figures. But right now on the right, there's a big divide between the isolationists who tend to align more anti-Israel and the interventionists who tend to be more pro-Israel. I wanted to know where you stand on the isolationist versus interventionist spectrum, and also how you think the right-wing media can kind of mend this divide that they have now.
Whether it's right-wing media, whether it's left-wing media, whether it's any sort of media, I think debate and discussion and dialogue and discourse is a good thing. Let it play out. We had this discussion on Valuetainment. Why are we funding Israel? Why are we funding these foreign wars? Why are we funding Ukraine? What's going on here? Okay, so what are your options? Let's walk through options. Okay, isolationism. We do nothing. The world's falling apart, the world is burning, not my problem. Well, what we realized is that if you don't make it your problem, it'll become your problem. Okay, interventionism. Let's get involved, let's go into Iraq, let's go into Afghanistan, let's solve every problem. The United States has more bases than any other country on earth, times 800. I think we have 800 and something bases all around the world. China has one, in Djibouti. I just like saying Djibouti. All right, that might be a little extreme. What do we do? How do we do this? How much money do we spend on this? So in the government, this Elon Musk and Vivek are coming up with something called the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. I'm very interested in this. Their goal is to eliminate, $2 trillion from the federal deficit. This past year with Biden, I think our income was about $4.9 trillion, and our expenditures were $6.5 trillion. So we're $1.6 trillion in the hole, in the black. If you did that in your house, in your lifestyle, if you made 80 grand but spent 100 grand, I'd say, bro, you're broke. What are you doing? Turn the car in. What are you doing? Get a roommate, whatever it is. So, on the podcast, I have arguments. We got to stop funding all these things. I said, oh, really? Let's start with Israel. Do you know that we've given, I think, $200 billion to Ukraine? That's just America, who's not even technically an ally, technically. Plus the EU's donated another $100 billion. I said in 75 years history of Israel, the history, we haven't even given $150 billion. So let's be very cautious of where we're spending our money. By the way, in the budget, there's something called discretionary spending and non-discretionary spending. What does that mean? So non-discretionary is like, no, you got to pay this. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, what have you. Discretionary is, should we fund scientific research? Should we go to NASA? Should we go to the moon? All this, everything is part of a budget. Everything, the arts, everything. What percentage, here we go for the crowd here, what percentage of our $6.5 trillion budget of America do you think goes to foreign affairs? What's the number?
A lot of percent.
Who said 1%? 1%. Okay? Okay, so that's a couple $100 billion, but not all of that goes to Israel. So, I had this conversation with Beni. I said, if you were going to try to fix your budget in your house, we're in debt, what are we going to do? My shocking, amazing advice wouldn't be, cancel your Netflix. I would say, your rent is $2,500, you can only afford $1,500, get a roommate, figure it out. Not save $10 a month. So I'm a common sense, practical, pragmatist, get involved when you need to get involved, and stay the hell out of things when you don't need to get involved, and stop spending money and be more efficient. So there's no clear-cut answer. But I'm not an interventionist, and I'm certainly not an isolationist. If America doesn't lead, someone else will come in and fill the vacuum. And who will that be? China, Russia, Iran, whoever it is. I believe the world is better, and the world is safer, and the world is stronger when the United States is leading.
Okay, guys, we're going to close it. I'm sorry, because there's another event here at 8 o'clock. We want to invite Adam to light the menorah candles in the shul. Give us a blessing, please, if you don't mind. Appreciate everybody for coming. Thank you so much. And God bless.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu b'hadlig ner Hanukkah.
Amen.
Yes,
Amen.
Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שעשן ניסים לבתינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה.
Amen.
Okay. Last one, guys. Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו והגיענו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Amen. Awesome. Keep it there steady, keep it there steady. Not too close. There you go, there you go. Now do the shamash.